And joining me live tonight is Madhur Sharma, the elder brother of Ashoka Chakra, Major Mohit Sharma, whose family has gone to court against the release of Dhurandhar. Madhur, welcome. Thank you for your time. As always, I would like to start by thanking you for the heroism and the sacrifice and service of your brother, yourself and your family. I'd like to start by asking you, Madhur, about why your family, your parents decided to go to court against the release of Dhurandhar. Madhur.
Hey Shiv, good evening and thank you for having me on the show. I think it's a pretty straightforward question of why we decided to go to the court, but I'm sorry, it's not going to be a straightforward answer because things have been happening for I think the past 3 to 4 months. And I think, as anybody else across the entire country, when, a movie of this scale and of this kind of a plot gets announced and, things start to happen, there's a lot of noise and buzz that starts to really get created. We were also excited about the movie a lot. And I think about a few months back, we started to get a lot of messages from friends across the country, and some of the friends were actually from the forces as well, who were basically asking us whether this is something that's based out of Mohit's life. And very honestly, we basically communicated to them that no, we have no clue, and we don't think it's based on Mohit's life, although a lot of information from what Mohit has been kind of awarded Ashok Chakra for, what he's famous for, what he's really kind of idolized for across the entire country. A lot of people really look up to him. So it's not something that people don't know. So we didn't really kind of have any reason to kind of go either way and say yes or no, that this is yes, is based on Mohit's life or not. But yes, when the questions started to come in, we had no source of information to really corroborate the kind of, questions that were coming in or even refute what was coming in. As time kind of progressed, I think these kind of harmless questions from family and friends started to become into, social media posts being kind of watched over and followed over and kind of shared over by millions of people across the internet. You look at Instagram and you look at YouTube. There were like a lot of people from radio, FM, kind of who had these podcasts on their own radios or YouTube come up. We had a lot of people on Instagram post pictures and kind of correlate the looks that Mohit had, which is kind of in the public domain, and obviously we're not saying that they can't be inspired from. And kind of making direct correlation to the way that Mohit conducted his operations, especially the covert operations, which he's very famous for. And kind of drawing parallels and similarities between the movie and what was being said on social media. As time progressed, very famous, podcasts and some of the people who actually were, kind of pillars of media themselves coming out on YouTube and Facebook, drawing exact comparisons of, frame by frame of what's actually shown in the trailer to what kind of Mohit's story really relates to, comes and kind of claims to the kind of exact matches, and the story that being narrated by them is actually picked up by the movie and the producers. We had no other way to really kind of, get a kind of closure for ourselves because, as family and, parents of, a son like Mohit, what you need to know is just to make sure that, the legacy, at least somebody's taken up the courage to, carry the legacy forward and make a movie out of it, which is kind of a very proud moment for the family as well. And we wanted to make sure that this is exactly the case so that we can also be, kind of part of it and give all of our support and love and affection that probably a subject like this would need. And if it is not, something that really relates to what Mohit has been, known for and famous for and kind of, revered and, talked about, then we should have clarity. As parents, they should know, whether this is something that relates to their, son or not.
Yeah.
If you also look at, the earlier kind of, announcements of the movies, there were obviously something that was around by the name of Iftikhar in 2021, which kind of didn't manage to kind of, materialize. So there were also confusions around, whether that's still going to happen or that's it and that's not going to happen and this is it, or this is also not what's going to happen and maybe something else is going to happen. And if something else is going to happen, is there something still available or somebody is available to pick that topic up now that because there's such a lot of hype around this movie. So there's a lot of things that were really going out. And obviously social media, I can ask questions to you on social media. You can respond to me on social media and then you can retract on social media and I can clarify. This is like a conversation we are having, right? It's just that it's happening in public domain.
Yeah. No,
it's not something that you can, really take up. So we had to basically find a recourse.
No, true. And I want to just provide a full disclaimer here that it's a book that I wrote that the movie Iftikhar was supposed to be based on. That is still tentatively in the works, and that's a separate discussion altogether. But we're talking about Dhurandhar here today. But Madhur, I did see your tweet to which the maker of this film, Aditya Dhar, then replied and very clearly clarified finally that this movie is not based on your brother's life. What happened after that? Did the filmmakers try and get in touch with you or your family regarding that aspect because it is very sensitive?
No, I think none of the family members, my parents and myself, we have been directly approached by the movie makers themselves also, although I do consider, Aditya Dhar's personal response, although it came from the production house and official, communication as, claimed in the tweet. But apart from that, we haven't received any official, communication or confirmation from the production house themselves saying that, this is not related to or related to, Mohit's life. So right now, we're just going by what he says on Twitter. That's what I have. But between my asking the question and him responding, obviously there was a gap of about, 1.5 to 2 days. And we were working on both these recourses in parallel because I wanted to make sure that we're not kind of leaving these questions unanswered in whatever possible ways we could get a kind of, a closure on the statement.
Yeah.
So the petition was already filed by the time the answer kind of came in and we kind of put up for hearing after that.
So the court has refused to put a stay on the film, but they have asked the makers and the censor board to take into account the sentiments and the views of the family in this regard. So what happens now, Madhur? Are you expecting them to get in touch with you about that? What do you plan to tell them?
So I think from whatever I understood, obviously the legal recourse and the directions from the Honorable Court that have been made are being understood and kind of, carried on for the next steps by the legal, team who are kind of looking into the matter. And special thanks to Rupanshu and, Manish who were taking care of this. But from whatever I understand, speaking to them on the phone and whatever limited knowledge I have of understanding legal language, there have been certain observations that the court has made. There have been certain questions that the Honorable Court has asked. And CBFC has been asked to, take a bunch of steps to make sure that they have, some of the questions answered and gain the trust of the families themselves. So I think they've asked for a pre-screening and they've asked to make sure that whatever, questions have been raised in the petition, in conjunction with the views from the armed forces experts and the family kind of answered. So I think that's what the court has asked. And I think this is kind of favoring in the sense that it kind of upholds the kind of the confusion and the question that we were asking, trying to get a closure on, which is to make sure that this is on life of Mohit or not life of Mohit. I think this is going to happen once I think both the parties, like the producers themselves, the parents and the experts in the matter are going to sit together, just have a look and, have a closure on them.
Final question, Madhur. I have met your parents in the course of the writing of the book, my book that contains that true account of Major Mohit Sharma's incredible final mission. How are your parents doing? How are they seeing all of this? I can imagine the sense of anticipation in wanting to see their son's story come to life.
I think a lot of parents who have had sons who've been kind of, martyred and killed in action and have attained glory for the country, every parent would have a dream for their kids to really see them in, real life, because they can't see them in real life. It is kind of a legacy that I think every parent, every sibling, every son and daughter that they have kind of carries with them and would like to see it really happen. I think the same with my parents as well. I think they've been living with this dream, and at some point in time, they will be able to see, somebody depicting Mohit on screen. And I can't really even, express how they would feel, when they see that, right? It's kind of very, very, emotional moment. I'm sure I can't even, kind of imagine the kind of feelings and the rush that they will have when they see that And that's a dream that they still live with, and I think that's a dream that the entire family lives with, because we have a book that you and Rahul have written. It really kind of accounts for the story that people talk about. We have other stories and accounts of people talking about it on YouTube and other channels and other social media platforms. We have his friends and kind of friends from the school, friends from NDA, the IMA, the Para, and the ARA, the Rashtriya Rifles when he was serving to Kashmir. All these accounts and stories.
Yeah.
I think it's a collective dream of everybody who have been touched by Mohit somewhere or the other, to see him once again, even if it's not real, but real, so that his legacy just keeps on going from generation to generation. And if you would remember, I always say, as time progresses, the ancient history will become medieval history.
Yeah.
The medieval history will become the modern history, and the modern history will talk about these people who've kind of upheld, India's independence by laying down their lives, in the line of duty.
And we will.
And our kids and our generations have to really be taught and, kind of, coached about, what it really means. So I think movies like this and
Absolutely.
books like all of this really would make a lot of sense and a lot of, purpose to carrying this legacy forward. So I think that's the dream we all live for.
And it will stay with us, and I will, and we will do everything we can to make sure that the story and the life of Major Mohit Sharma gets its due one way or the other. And our respects, as always, to you, Madhur, and your family, your parents. And as always, we thank you for the incredible service, the incredible life and service and sacrifice of Major Mohit Sharma. Thank you, Madhur, for joining me tonight.
Thank you very much, Shiv. Thank you very much.
Thank you.